Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the JKWD podcast, where we are not having cabin fever at all.
Nope. Nope. Yeah.
We might be going a little stir crazy. I got to tell you, when we got on before we were recording the podcast, the baby was so happy to see anybody but mom and dad. He was like, Kelvin. She was like reaching out to try to hug the computer. It got weird. Weird for a minute. How you doing, Kelvin?
Doing good. I don't know if I've got quite the frazzle going that you got going, but I'm doing okay. And I think mostly because I killed that dang fly. Oh, that's a whole other.
And if you get vitamin K daily every day, then you know what Kelvin's talking about.
Yeah.
And if you don't get vitamin K daily, why not? It is your daily dose of positive.
It is.
5 days a week, every day. First thing when you wake up, assuming that you're in time zone on this side of the world. And actually, depending on where you are, it might be before you go to bed.
On that whole 24-hour clock thing, I tell you what.
That's right. So you can go to vitaminkdaily.com and
sometimes people actually get it before the day I send it. Yeah. Time travel.
Might be true. Yeah, time travel.
What side of the world are on? Yeah.
Yeah. I think you mean the day at the.
I was trying to be funny, but I'm sorry. Didn't you start out talking about cabin fever?
Yeah. So you can get 4 weeks free at vitaminkdaily.com, and then it's going to cost you 9.5 cents a day.
You know what I figured out? That's less than 50 cents a week. Are you kidding me? You spend more than that for
everything. Yeah.
50 cents a week? Yeah. I'm worth 50 cents a week.
That's $2. That's $2 a month. I don't spend $2 a month on anything.
Yeah. I mean, that's like
everything else costs a lot more.
You go to Starbucks, not anymore, and talk about smelling the coffee, and that's all you get to do.
That's right. We are also brought to you by our friends over at Kindle and Fire. Go get you some bone broth. It will just give you a little something different to try during this time. If you're in one of the COVID-related lockdowns like the rest of us are.
Talking worldwide here. Oh, no, I'm tired.
Yeah.
China's back open or something.
Well, yes. Well, some of it is. You know what? I've seen stories that say China's reopened, but also pictures from China that make it appear that it is not reopened with like 3 people on the street.
Got it.
So something else to try be some slow cooked bone broth from Kindle and Fire. They also have soups and stuff. I know it's still cold in some parts of the world. I saw snow this week.
It snowed 3 times yesterday here.
But anyway, you can save 10%. Go to kettleandfire.com. When you go to checkout, use the code BetterHumanhood, and you'll save 10%. It's kettleandfire.com. KETTLEANDFIRE.com. Code BetterHumanhood when you check out. It'll save you 10%.
Podcast, where we talk about better humanhood and teach you how to dominate your world. You ready? Here we go.
Occurs to me that I've had 4 cups of coffee today, and that is totally unnecessary because you know why? I'm not going anywhere. How you doing? Did I already ask that? Yeah, I think I already asked that. But
well, we always have to ask at least twice because, you know, sometimes I can't remember what it was I said the last time. And these days it's kind of interesting because people talk about, well, I'm stuck inside. Well, before I wasn't stuck inside, but I stayed inside.
That's right.
So now it's like, I want to go. I saw a meme recently. Well, actually, some on about the COVID thing, and they said talk about people before COVID, and the kids are inside and they're playing with their toys, and their moms and dads are reading and stuff like that. And then it said people after COVID, when they're supposed to be inside, now they're out walking the parks and riding bicycles. And just
Right.
like, what is it? What is that about? It's that thing about not being able to do it that makes it valuable, right?
That's right. It's like when you say don't do this to a child and it's the first thing they do. Yeah.
That's right. Don't do your schoolwork. Really. Seriously. Don't try that.
No, but yeah, so we've been walking the dog and the baby up and down the street, 3-4 times a day. It's been beautiful here. It's rained like twice.
Josh is in Savannah, Georgia. I am in Central New York.
Yeah, and then I've been running a mile a day. It's got to be closer to a mile and a half, given my step count.
Awesome.
In the garage.
Oh, awesome.
I measured the garage, so it's 20 feet from the door from the house to the garage door. So I figured out that 132 laps back and forth would be a mile. And I've been running more of a diagonal, so it's actually a little longer. But yeah, I get out there every morning. I do 132, 135. I do probably more than 132 laps because I'm sure that I'm losing track and doing extra laps. But I'm at least doing that every day.
Pardon me.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
How are those 180s when you're running inside the garage?
I just stop. I turn around.
How your knees holding out?
They're fine. I mean,
okay, just checking.
Yeah, it's no worse than running in a straight line. Turning around. It's
okay.
Probably taking many seconds off my time, but
well,
adding seconds to it, as it were. But
a couple, But the exercise is wonderful for you, son.
Yes.
I'm not doing that. I just continue running up and down the stairs in my house because I forget stuff. My laundry is that sounded country right then. My laundry is in the basement. I'm on the second floor. And it seems that everything I want to get to is someplace else.
Well, good for you for continuing to get dressed through this thing.
I do get dressed.
Only reason I change my shirt every day is because I run up a sweat working, doing that run. For a while there, I was like, I haven't changed my shirt in 3 days. Maybe I should do that.
If you're not working up sweat and you ain't stinking, why bother? I mean, that's just laundry money, Bubba.
Right.
There are some people I know who heard this one just went, ew, he doesn't change his shirt every 20 minutes. Forget you. I don't stink when you're with me. I don't stink when I'm with you. You're in good shape. Did I say that? No. Shh. You're crazy. You're crazy. No.
Right. So, one thing that people could be taken advantage of if they're not during this time, new inputs. So, we talk occasionally about what we're reading, we're watching, what we're learning. So, we're recording this on April 17th. It'll be out whatever that Monday is, the 27th. So for a lot of us, by the time you hear this, we've already been in quarantine for a month, and it'll have been closer to 5-6 weeks by the time you hear this, and
it's getting extended. No.
And most of us will be at least another 2-3 weeks, probably more like 4, 5, 6 weeks. So we're about halfway there. So if you've taken this time up to now, like a lot of people have, to build up a new fear cycle and get overwhelmed. At least you've had a chance to get over that now, and now you can enter growth. So as long as you're at home, not doing much, if that's you get an opportunity to learn a new skill. You got an opportunity to read more books. You get an opportunity to invent new stuff, start an organization. You probably have a little more time on your hands than you did before. So I guess I'll start.
Why don't you start?
Like most of the rest of the country, we watched Tiger King, and we're done with that. We got through it, and we've moved on to Wild Wild Country, also on Netflix, also about crazy people. Okay, that's a bit of a release. Okay, but I got 3 books going right now, like I usually do. I am rereading Shadow of the Wind. That's a novel by Carlos Ruiz Zafon. This is the book that
It's the same guy who wrote. What else did he write? Maybe it's not. Maybe it's not
the Angel's Game. He's got a series there. He's also got some kids' books.
Okay, maybe it's not the guy I was thinking about.
But this is really the book that got me interested in literature again about 11, 12 years ago. Ooh. That sound you all just heard was the dog's bone falling off the dog's bed onto the laminate floor. Anyway,
the look on your face was rather good there about who's in my house. No,
it's got some great characters, and it's got a location as a character as well, the Cemetery of Forgotten Books, which is a place where when books go out of print and when they appear lost to the world, they wind up here, and it's this big, giant labyrinthine place that the first time you're introduced to it, you pick out a book and you're responsible for that book for the rest of your life. It's the books. I think it's a trilogy. I think it's 3 books out about the about the Cemetery of Forgotten Books, and with the Cemetery of Forgotten Books as a central character. It takes place in Spain, and all the books do, and it's beautifully translated. I assume it's just as rich in the original language in Spanish. I'm reading an English translation, and it's one of my favorites. Also reading The Future is Faster Than You Think, How Converging Technologies Are Transforming Business, Industries, and Our Lives by Peter Diamandis and Stephen Kotler. This is the 3rd book in their series that starts with bold and continues on to abundance before moving to this one. And it's about what's coming in technology and how fast things are moving. One of the things that they bring up is that there's a reasonable chance that by 2023 we're going to see flying autonomous vehicles handling Uber in Los Angeles. Flying autonomous vehicles.
I think I'm going to have to stay old school just a little longer.
Right. And the third book I'm reading is I'm reading it on Kindle. Is a brand new book, actually. It's called Transcend by Scott Barry Kaufman. And what he does is he went through all of Abraham Maslow's later works, uh, mostly the unpublished journals and papers, because it's after his heart attack. He really was it a heart attack or a stroke? I forget. But after Maslow had an almost life-ending experience a few years before he actually died, and publication became less important to him. So he didn't do a lot of publishing or a lot of speaking, but in the book, he reimagines the hierarchy of needs and kind of adds to it. So we usually see Maslow's hierarchy of needs done in a 5-step pyramid, and apparently Maslow never drew it out as a pyramid. That was later interpretations, and he never meant that. He never really meant it to be with it stepped the way we usually see it. It sounds like you take care of one level, you move on to the next level. You take care of that level, you move on to the next level.
Mm-hmm.
Like a video game, like you finish one level and you're done with that level forever. No,
right.
Like it's interchange. Sometimes you need to go back and work on a previous level. Right. So Scott Barry Kaufman reimagines the hierarchy of needs as a sailboat. So you've got safety, connection, and self-esteem as the part that floats, like the base of the boat, like the important stuff, and then purpose, love, and exploration as the sail. So those are the things that take you away, and ultimately the experience. And he pulls this from Maslow's unwritten works: is transcendent, is to transcend the self, even if just for brief periods. And that's really what we're trying for, and it seems that that's in the self-actualization piece of what we think of as the pyramid.
Oh, cool.
So that's what I'm reading. Those are the things that I'm taking in. How about you?
I quit. I mean, after that list, I got nothing to say. But actually, that's not true. I do have something to say. I'm going back to old things. I talk about 3 books that changed my life and so forth. And if my life isn't where it was when I got done reading them, I think maybe I should go back and read them again because maybe I forgot something. So one of those books is absolutely, again, I'm rereading Illusions, The Adventures of a Reluctant Messiah. And I'm about 2/3 of the way through it because I keep interrupting myself. The first time I read it in one sitting and one night and had a life-changing experience. Subsequent times, a little hit and miss here and there. But for me, the stuff that's in it still makes me think. And I'm amazed at how much I don't recognize from the first time I read it. So I took whatever I took then, but what's there now? The stuff that I probably didn't miss it, but it's been so long since I just touched in with it. It's new or refreshing ideas again, and it's got different connections to life at this point because it's been so long since I read the first one, and whatever progress, for lack of a better word, it's coming to me right now, I made at the time, whatever changes I made, now go back and say, okay, do they still mean the same thing? Or have they taken on a different meaning? Because like it says in one other book that I say changed my life was, nothing in life has any meaning except the meaning you give it. And a lot of times we will change what something means to us. Sometimes.
We had a very interesting experience with that book the first time you visited Savannah, too. You remember this?
Oh yeah, I do.
We went to go see if we could find a copy, and we walked into a used bookshop. And instead of going to search for it, we just asked the guy at the desk because the book lady is it's a great shop. I love it, and it's exactly like you want a used bookshop to be. Right? It's got tiny little aisles, and it's got just um, sometimes you get to squeeze by a little something to get into another room with more books in it,
Mm-hmm.
and every now and then you just trip over a pile of books somewhere, and uh, it's exactly what you want a place to be. But it also means that you're never exactly sure if you're going to find something where you expect to find it. So
Right.
we asked the guy at the front, and he said, "Yeah, in fact, I know exactly where it is." And he got up, he walked over, he took it off the shelf, brought it back to the counter. He said, "That'll be $2." And we were all like, "Okay, it's ridiculous to pay for this with a credit card." And it turned out that between us, we had exactly $2 in cash on us. So it was like he had one copy. He knew where it was. It cost exactly the amount of money we had on us.
Yeah, that
That was
kind
the
of thing.
yeah, that's the sort of thing that this book does. Is it calls the universe to you.
It is awesome. So I'm reading again, and the copy that I'm reading, I don't know if this is the first. Well, actually, it may be the first copy I ever bought, but the first time I read it, I was actually in the military. It was 1972, I think.
Wow.
No, it was when I went to Korea. So it was 1970. It was the end of 1976 when I read this book. And the guy who was my roommate at the time, Henry Mallory, don't ask me why. I remember stuff. He was on his way out that evening. I was sitting in the barracks for some reason, and on the way out, he threw me this book, hard copy, and he said, "It's a pretty interesting book. You might like it." And he walked out the door. And I read that book that night, all in one sitting, and the effect it had on me at the time was I forgot I was reading a book. And suddenly I was in this story and I was living this story. Now, I will tell you that not most of the people I have offered the book to past that didn't have that experience. And I will tell you that this is the only book I have ever bought with the express purpose of giving it away. That's the kind of effect that book had on me. I mean, I just bought a bunch of copies and said, I'm going to give this to people. So nothing else in my life has had that kind of power or energy. So I still have my first copy, and that's it. And I also have a friend of mine, not well, it's been a few years now, actually found a hardback copy and bought it for me. And I was like, oh, I don't even want to crinkle the pages on that. I just keep it on my shelf. It's pristine condition. I think I just go over sometime and like bask in the glow of the, the shelf where it is. But anyway, sorry. That's that book. And it has a companion now called, he speaks in the book of the Messiah's Handbook. And there's a companion book to it now called the Messiah's Handbook, and it's really cool. And I have written many Vitamin K. I've written many a speech out of the things that are mentioned in this book. So between those two, I keep those with me all the time. Recently, I was offered a book by someone, or they said, I asked them, could they recommend any books? And they just showed me a pic. We were on a Zoom call. They showed me a picture of this one book. And she said, well, this book has really is my favorite lately. It's done a lot for me and stuff like that. And then she showed me a copy of this book. And the name of the book was Everyday Zen by Charlotte Joko Beck. And whenever somebody shows me a book that I should read, that I know I've got and haven't read, it makes me just want to run back and find a book. So it took me a day to find out where I hid this from myself, but I now have it. So I'm now reading it, an everyday Zen. And it's about it. They just take, the Zen teachings, which in and of themselves are mind blowing. And they kind of transition it to what we're doing these days. We're not monks. We're not in monasteries, most of us, but how to take those concepts, bring it out to everyday life and make it work. The last time I had that experience, somebody had told me I should read The Energy Bus by Jon Gordon. And I was like, I think I've got that book. So I went downstairs and decided that I had that book. There it is. Just like I bought it from Amazon, not a crease and no page, nothing. And I didn't have time to read it. So I ordered the audiobook. And I went through the audiobook and I really enjoyed that. It was a nice story. And then we ended up interviewing Jon Gordon on JKWD podcast, right? But the secret of that was I decided to go back and look in my Amazon records to see when it was I bought the book. And I had that book on my shelf for 9 years. 9 years and hadn't read it. And I'm like, so now, anytime somebody tells me I should read a book, and it turns out I've had it on my shelf, I go there first. And that's kind of where I am with that for today. I've got some other stuff I'm working with from time to time, but those are the ones that are meaning the most to me right now. So I got to finish up Illusions because of the effect it had me at the time and had on me at the time. And this Everyday Zen book, which is just about day-to-day life and being happy where you are and stuff. And
that sounds like a great sentiment for right now too.
Yeah, it really does. Because, a lot of people are looking at this COVID thing and it's driving them crazy. But, historically, we've been through worse. Not we personally, because we weren't here then, but the country's been through worse. The planet's been through worse.
It's true.
So, the idea is that we're going to come out of this ahead one way or the other in the end and go on to do even greater things and be different and better people, hopefully.
Yeah, well, there are some things that I hope come of this, and we might have talked about some of this a couple of weeks ago, but we're actually changing the way the Earth spins. The Earth is wobbling different. Yeah, the Earth doesn't rotate smoothly on its axis; it wobbles a little bit.
Oh,
and there is significantly less seismic activity on the planet since we all started sheltering or staying at home. Yeah. So it's been pretty crazy. But, we've also been, talking to our neighbors more, and we've been doing more Zoom calls with our, friends and family, and hopefully that won't stop. Hopefully we'll remember hopefully we won't go back to our too busy lives, just
take some time out.
Yeah.
I've really tried to be that guy that I've taken time out. Well, you know me. Yeah. Give me a good lunch or a good breakfast and I'm on.
Yeah, I know.
So we've done that, but it has, and it's put a different slant on it. So I want it to be because, love and affection, value you versus, God, I wonder if they're sick. But I mean, I'm still, different sides of the same coin, right?
Right.
So, yeah. But I plan to be there. I plan to be around a long time. Forget this COVID virus thing. I do not intend to interact with it in that way. I'll be looking back from history going, yep, that was a year maybe 2 years. That was the 2 years it was. Yeah.
Yep.
Because I'm an optimist deep down.
Good stuff. Yeah, well,
Right.
I hope people are making some good stuff through all this, creating good stuff. And thank you for being here. Thanks to our friends at Kettle and Fire. KettleandFire.com. Use code BetterHumanhood for 10% off when you check out. VitaminKDaily.com gets your 4 weeks free to 9.5 cents a day. JKWDpodcast.com for show notes for this and all our other shows. And we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks for listening. Show notes and more at jkwdpodcast.com. Don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share with your friends, and we will see you next week. Bye!
A Better Humanhood production.